Howdy folks, by the time you see this video I'll probably be up to my eyeballs in Hideo Kojima's new masterpiece on the PlayStation 4, Death Stranding. That sounds like a perfect excuse for a World of Warships video to me. What do you mean you don't see the link? Who says there has to be a link? Anyway, check out this matchmaking. 6 tier 10s, 3 tier 9s and 3 extremely unfortunate tier 8s, one of which is our friend and neighbour Flambas, here in the USS Massachusetts, the premium Tier 8 American battleship. This isn't the only replay that Flambas has sent me recently. He sent me another one a couple of days ago that was just chock full of drama and toxicity and all kinds of good stuff. Unfortunately, there was just too much, even for me, and that's saying something. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy a good bit of street theatre as much as the next guy. But it's a lot more entertaining if you can actually watch the drama unfolding in front of you on screen, rather than having to read it in a postage stamp-sized chat window, which was the case in this particular battle. Well, not this battle. This one's actually interesting to watch, and has a fairly remarkable result too. No, the other battle that Flambas sent in, well, I'll tell you what it was, because I'm not going to show it, for reasons that should become obvious. Basically, he started the battle and 3 players on his team were already pink at the start of the match, and then one other player on his team in a top tier battleship decided that the game wasn't worth playing because there were 3 pink players on his team. And that would have been, bad enough. But he spent the entire game complaining about it in increasingly hypocritical terms. So his only contribution to the battle was all in the chat window, because he didn't do anything actually in the battle, and ironically enough proved that he was far more toxic and detrimental to his team than the 3 pink players, who were the reason why he refused to take part in the game in the first place. Like I said, chock full of drama and toxicity and all very juicy stuff, but unless I'm going to spend the entire video zoomed in on the chat window, because that's pretty much where all the action was happening, it wasn't really going to be a particularly interesting video. Anyway, enough about the game that we're not going to watch. Let's concentrate on the game that we are actually watching. Flambas, bottom tier in a Massachusetts tier 8 battleship, lots and lots and lots of tier 10s. And this is one of the things that I definitely appreciate about World of Warships. Well, it's true of World of Tanks as well. If you're playing a wargaming title and you end up at the bottom of the matchmaking spread, it's going to be more difficult, obviously, but the rewards, they definitely make it worth your while, in terms of experience earned. The difference between World of Tanks and World of Warships is that it's a lot more difficult to do well in World of Tanks if you are at the bottom of the matchmaking spread. It's by no means easy if you're at the bottom of the matchmaking spread in World of Warships, but it's definitely easier, depending on the class of ship that you're in. I definitely wouldn't want to be in a tier 8 carrier in a tier 10 match, which is kind of unfortunate for the 2 carriers in this battle. They're both Shikakus. A tier 8 cruiser in a tier 10 battle probably, generally speaking, has the next hardest time, but can still do well providing they don't draw too much attention to themselves too early, trying to keep the health pool intact towards the end of the battle, where they can make much more of a difference. But a tier 8 battleship has the same armour thresholds as a tier 10 battleship. It just doesn't have as much health, and it will often have guns of the same calibre as a tier 10 battleship. And a destroyer, well, bring it on, bitches. Quite a few tier 8 destroyers actually have better stealth than tier 10 destroyers. They just lack comparable firepower in most cases, but stealth goes a long way, particularly if you can stay away from those radar cruisers and aircraft carriers. Shots out from the 16-inch guns at the Des Moines. Nice, a citadel. It's what we like to see. What we definitely do not like to see, how many enemy ships is that? That's 7 that we know about, including the Des Moines. So we're definitely going to attack them from here and not go steaming around the corner of the headland up ahead. And, ooh, look at all these broadsides. Unfortunately, this is one of the downsides of the otherwise thoroughly enjoyable USS Massachusetts. The guns that fire the same ammunition as the Iowa and the Montana, they hit really hard, but the accuracy is extremely questionable. Actually, this seems as good a time as any to give you the quick Cliff Notes description of the USS Massachusetts. We've already covered the main battery 16-inch guns. The secondaries are where this ship really shines. It has lots and lots and lots of them. They're actually quite accurate and they have extremely long range. They're not quite as effective as an equivalent tier German battleship secondaries, but they're a lot of fun. Also, anti-aircraft firepower is exceptionally good. And that's really all you need to know about the Massachusetts. It's available in 2 premium flavoured versions, regular and black. In fact, the black version, it wouldn't surprise me at all if it was about to go on sale again soon, because Black Friday is coming up on the 29th of November. So, to summarise, great secondaries, great AA, main battery guns, questionable accuracy, but when they do hit, they have the same ammunition as the Iowa and the Montana, and they hit really, really hard. So at the moment the scores are dead even, and it does have to be said that the gearing up there is doing a fantastic job of keeping all these guys spotted. Oh, they just went ahead. The Musashi finished off the Hindenburg. This is the thing about cruisers in World of Warships. I don't care if you're in a tier 8, 9 or 10 cruiser in a tier 10 battle. If you do what that Hindenburg did, sail around, broadside onto a whole bunch of battleships, in open water, blazing away with your guns, you're going to get bitch slapped. Cruisers, stop drawing so much attention to yourself early on in a battle. Stop making yourselves targets like this. A cruiser is exponentially more dangerous the longer it can survive in a battle. All of that firepower and DPM that you have becomes a lot more valuable later on in a battle when your targets are all on much lower health, and all of their consumables have either been expended or they're on cooldowns. Anyway, back to the battle. Up until now, Flambas hasn't really done anything exciting, dramatic or adventurous, and you can tell that he hasn't done anything exciting, dramatic or adventurous because he's still alive. Again, the gearing up there is doing a great job of keeping these guys spotted. Although it helps that the only real threat to the gearing would have been the Des Moines, the one that Flambas bitch slapped earlier with his first Citadel and sent him scuttling off in the other direction, although he was last spotted coming back this way, so the gearing is going to need to watch out. Flambas, nice and comfortable on this corner, no reason whatsoever for him to push out around the side of the island. Sitting here, the bulk of the island is shielding him from most of the enemy ships that could be shooting at him. He has targets to shoot at, his guns have been kept busy, there is no reason to push out and take on more targets than you can fight at once. And you certainly don't want to be pushing out in a tier 8 battleship, not when there are plenty of tier 9s and 10s around. Who can be doing that for you? Speak of the devil, this may very well be the moment that he's been waiting for. Friendly Musashi and Grosser Kurfürst pushing around the corner, with a Conqueror, Thunderer, and Flambas himself backing them up. Destroyer up ahead, who this whole time has been pinging out targets for them, and a couple of cruisers bringing up the rear and adding their DPM to the mix. Holy shit, look at this. Everybody's actually playing their ships the way they're supposed to. And funnily enough, it's working. Don't worry, I'm sure it will never catch on. It's amazing, isn't it? It's almost as if this is the way the game was designed to work. Oh, enemy carrier's doing his best to try to stem the oncoming flood. I think the best he can really hope to do is flush the gearing out of the smoke screen, spot him and hope that somebody kills him. But he's probably not going to keep the gearing spotted for too long with the wall of anti-aircraft firepower that those very unfortunate torpedo bombers are flying into. Now what's interesting here is that it appears that the enemy team have managed to do on the other flank what Flambas's team have done on this flank. Both teams have crushed one flank and then are sweeping around in an attempt to envelop the opposing team from the other direction, which basically means that we're going to have a massive fight in the middle, and that's probably going to come down to which... oh shit, that looked like it really hurt. And as I was saying, that's probably going to come down to whichever team is best at utilising the cover afforded by all of these islands in the middle of the map. Now this isn't a great situation. There are 3 targets up ahead, although one of them, the Bismarck, is out of line of sight for the moment, so that's good. The Grosser Kurfürst is angled, so that's not good. But the Ibuki, however, well, these cruisers will learn one way or the other not to give broadsides to battleships like that. Now Flambas's secondaries are good, but the Grosser Kurfürst and the Bismarck secondaries are better. The gearing has put some torpedoes in the water against both targets. Again, not a great situation, but the Bismarck is just begging for a paddling coming around a corner like that. And Flambas is only too happy to oblige. And then of course he sails straight into the Gearing's torpedoes. That just leaves the Grosser Kurfürst. I say just, it is a tier 10 German battleship. Good news, bad news situation with the Grosser Kurfürst. He's angled enough that most of his secondaries aren't able to fire, so that's good. But he's angled enough that he's making the absolute most of his armour protection. And of course he also has that turtleback armour arrangement that makes it next to impossible to citadel a German battleship from close range. Almost impossible. Not 100% impossible. Actually, what we think happened there is so unlikely as to be nearly impossible, and yet you just saw it happen. What can happen, and again, under extremely rare circumstances, is that an armour-piercing shot... Oh, hang on a second. Yep, torpedoes were dropped too close, failed to arm. An armour-piercing shot can strike the superstructure, a part of the superstructure with just enough armour to cause a ricochet, and for that ricochet to deflect the shell straight down, right through the citadel roof. And that's the only possible explanation I can offer for what you saw just happen to the Grosser Kurfürst there. But he's not down yet. He's managed to get a heel off. But there's just no way he can stand against this kind of firepower, surely. I mean, come on. Yep, he's gone. I'm sure Flambas wanted the kill, but, well, who knows. Another fraction of a second and the Grosser Kurfürst may have been ready to fire. Now then, it's time to turn our attention to the enemy Edinburgh. Now, the Edinburgh is hopelessly overextended, but chasing down the carrier probably looked like a really good idea when he had a Grosser Kurfürst, a Bismarck, and an Ibuki as backup. But now he doesn't. And that dent is never going to polish out. So the Edinburgh is doomed. It's just a question of whether or not he can achieve his lifelong ambition and take out the Shikaku before that happens. What the Edinburgh really should have done was to pop smoke, stop shooting, turn around and disengage, or at least try to, but realistically he should have done it before now because the gearing is just going to keep him spotted. And now it's definitely too late. Meanwhile, the spearhead ship down to the south, the Musashi, just got taken out by focus fire, but even with the loss of the Musashi, Flambas's team still outnumber the enemy 2-1 at this point. Enemy carrier still going for Flambas, which makes sense. I mean, he's the most exposed target, even though he is a Massachusetts and has fearsome AA, but he's taken a lot of high explosive damage and has probably lost a lot of that AA, and he is the biggest threat to the carrier at the moment. And, oh, there's the... Seriously, cruisers? When are you ever going to learn to not give flat broadsides to battleships at ranges of 10 kilometres or less? Flambas's screen shaking uncontrollably there. I think he was probably laughing so much that he momentarily lost control of his mouse. Well, wouldn't you? Anyway, now that that brief interruption has been concluded, Flambas can get down to the serious business of beating that Shikaku to death. At this kind of range, it's a bit like shooting fish in a barrel. Oh, there's the Air Defence Expert Award to go with his high caliber Confederates. Well, you know what they say, if you can't take a joke, you shouldn't be playing an aircraft carrier. Look at the secondaries go. Are the secondaries going to kill him? Is he going to get a Close Quarters Expert Award as well, or are the main guns going to reload? Yeah, there it is. Well, he's just showing off now, isn't he? Although the carrier did manage to get a mostly depleted squad. No, never mind. And that just leaves one enemy ship. And it's an Ibuki. The fact that the Ibuki on the enemy team, well, one of the Ibukis on the enemy team is still alive and still has most of his health, although probably not for very long, can only have two possible explanations. Either he is very good, or he's not very good. He's been hiding at the back of the map for the entire game, and now he's got nowhere left to run. Spoiler alert, he's actually probably pretty good. He finishes third on the enemy team on experience earned. And surviving this long in a tier 10 battle, hell, surviving this long in a tier 9 battle in an Ibuki is no mean achievement. Those things have paper for armour, and they have notoriously easy to hit citadels. But regardless of how good that Ibuki is or isn't, I don't think we can realistically expect him to be able to turn around a 1 versus 8 defeat. I don't think anybody's that good. And right now, the Ibuki, well, he's trying to survive the battle. But as I'm sure you can appreciate, that's not going to be easy. Although I have to question why he's even bothering to try, because it doesn't matter in World Warships whether your ship is sunk or survives the battle 100% intact. Everybody pays the same logistics fee. So surely it makes more sense to at least try to do more damage, because then you'll earn more money. But he's determined to survive this battle intact. And he is going to get his wish, because they very, very nearly managed to finish him off. But then the team reaches 1,000 points just as the last salvo of shots were in the air, so the Ibuki gets his wish and survives the battle. Although, once again, what's the point? And yes, that is a 1 million credit battle for Flambas, but yeah, the Massachusetts is a premium after all, it does earn more credits. However, premium ships do not earn more experience, which is what makes the next screen all the more remarkable. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was more than 4,000 base experience for Flambas in the Massachusetts. And of course, that wasn't just because of how well he did, it was because of how well he did in a Tier 8 ship in a Tier 10 battle. Which just goes to prove that it doesn't matter how badly you think the Matchmaker is dropping its pants and dumping on you from a great height. It's always worth giving it your best shot. And that is it for today. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I'm probably going to be enjoying Death Stranding on the PlayStation 4. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.